All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack what is, hands down, the most controversial, misunderstood, and yet undeniably lethal fighter jet ever built. The F-35 Lightning is an absolute masterclass in modern engineering, but it's also a program that has sparked endless debate. So today, we're going to look strictly at the facts, the data, and the hardware to understand exactly what this machine is all about.
We've got to start with the massive $1.7 trillion elephant in the room. That is the estimated lifetime cost of this program. A number so unbelievably huge, it naturally makes you stop and ask, is this aircraft actually worth it? Or, has it just become this overly ambitious project completely weighed down by its own complexity?
To answer that, here's our roadmap for today. We're looking at the trillion-dollar paradox. The F-35 is a quarterback in the sky. Its glitches, heat and upgrades, those crazy mirror skins and drone wingmen, and finally, the verdict on the F-35. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The trillion-dollar paradox. The impossible dream. We really need to rewind back to the 1990s and the Joint Strike Fighter program.
This all started with a goal that honestly sounded impossible. Following the Cold War, budgets were shrinking, right? So the Pentagon wanted one unified base chassis that could literally do it all. Dogfight, drop bombs, hover like a helicopter, and land on aircraft carriers. They wanted a stealthy Swiss Army knife to replace dozens of legacy aircraft across the Air Force, Navy, Marines, and our allies. Designing one single machine to do all those completely contradictory things? Yeah, that's an incredibly tall order.
So the solution to that impossible dream? Well, you don't build just one jet. Instead, Lockheed Martin built 3 distinct variants, all stemming from a shared technological foundation. You got the F-35A for your conventional runways. Then the F-35B, which actually uses this massive lift fan to hover and land vertically for the Marines. And finally, the F-35C, featuring larger folding wings and a tailhook for those punishing Navy aircraft carrier operations.
Moving on to Section 2, a quarterback in the sky, the flying data center. Because to really grasp why this jet is so special, we have to pivot from its physical airframe to its absolutely incredible digital brain.
And the crucial point here is sensor fusion. Imagine trying to fly at supersonic speeds while manually checking 5 different radar screens. That's what older 4th-generation pilots spend so much of their time doing, managing multiple displays and manually processing threats. But the F-35? It does this all automatically. It aggregates data from onboard sensors and allied platforms, seamlessly merging it into a single tactical picture. It essentially shifts the human pilot from managing complex instruments to making high-level tactical decisions.
Let's think about the actual hardware making this happen, because these interconnected systems are just wild. You have the AN/APG-81 main radar tracking dozens of targets for first look, first kill tracking. Then there's the DAS system, using spherical infrared cameras for complete 360-degree visual awareness. Add in the electro-optical targeting system and MADL, which is a highly secure data link sharing all this real-time targeting data with allied forces. It literally turns the F-35 into a battlefield manager that sees everything before the enemy even knows it's there.
Now you might be wondering, how does the pilot actually interact with all that data? Well, the F-35 completely ditched the traditional heads-up display on the windshield. Instead, all that flight data and 360-degree visuals are projected directly into the visor of a custom, and yes, you heard this right, $400,000 helmet. Because those onboard cameras are feeding live video right into the visor, the pilot can literally look down and see right through the floor of the airplane in the dead of night. It's mind-blowing.
Which brings us to Section 3, glitches, heat, and upgrades, the price of complexity. Because of course, building a flying supercomputer comes with its own unique set of massive headaches, bugs, and hardware challenges.
Let's walk through how 8 million lines of code directly led to a thermodynamic crisis. Okay, so the F-35 needs software upgrades, which naturally demand massively more computing power. Well, those advanced electronics generate immense heat. To cool them, the jet extracts bleed air, essentially compressed air siphoned directly from the engine itself. But the current F-135 engine is simply running out of capacity to do this. It's running hotter, which skyrockets maintenance costs. So the solution currently on the table is implementing the engine core upgrade to finally solve those thermal limits.
And this all builds progressively across its software evolution timeline. Back in 2015 and 2016, we had blocks 1, 2, and 3. But right now, the jet is undergoing TR3, or Technology Refresh 3, upgrading the core processor and memory. This serves as the critical IT backbone for the future Block 4. Block 4 is going to add incredible next-gen electronic warfare capabilities and a brand new radar system, making the jet exponentially more lethal. assuming, of course, those thermal management issues get fully sorted out.
All right, Section 4, Mirror Skins and Drone Wingmen, the future battle space. Development definitely isn't standing still, so let's look at the cutting-edge, sci-fi tech currently being tested out there.
The military is actively developing collaborative combat aircraft. We're talking fully autonomous AI drones designed to fly directly alongside manned jets. The concept is that having the F-35 control these drones acts as a massive force multiplier, maximizing the jet's effectiveness while minimizing the risks to the human pilot. Since the F-35 is already an aerial quarterback, it's perfectly suited to command these unmanned assets in real time.
So how exactly are they going to use them? Well, these drone wingmen will take commands from the F-35 and just vastly expand its reach. They can fly ahead as forward sensor nodes, letting the F-35 keep its own radar off and stay perfectly hidden. They can serve as missile trucks carrying extra munitions, or deploy as decoys to distract enemy air defenses. And maybe most importantly, they provide a low-cost, attritable combat mass. Basically, they're cheap enough that losing one in battle is an acceptable risk compared to losing an F-35 and its pilot.
But it's not just drones. The airframe itself is evolving. You might have heard about F-35s being tested with reflective, mirror-like chrome coatings. This is spectral warfare. See, modern enemies are increasingly using passive infrared search and track sensors, basically powerful heat-seeking cameras that don't emit radar waves, meaning traditional stealth can't always hide from them. The solution? The F-35 is literally testing adaptive camouflage, using a mirror finish to visually blend into the sky to defeat these passive sensors. It's straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Finally, Section 5. The verdict on the F-35, redefining dominance. Zooming out here, how do we actually judge a program with such a bumpy, expensive history, but such jaw-dropping capabilities?
It really comes down to a fundamental shift in combat philosophy. With fourth-generation fighters like the F-16 or F-18, the focus was all on dogfighting, raw maneuverability, and manual multi-display management. The fifth-generation F-35 completely changes the game. Dogfighting, that's seen as a last resort now. The focus is entirely on stealth, sensor fusion, network integration, and that first-look, first-kill capability. Data superiority is absolutely the new king of the skies.
And here is the ultimate paradox of this entire program. Despite that staggering $1.7 trillion lifetime cost we talked about at the start, economies of scale have totally taken over. The individual unit purchase price for an F-35A has actually dropped under $80 million. That means this cutting-edge fifth-generation stealth fighter is now cheaper to buy than many older, newly built fourth-generation fighters on the market today. Crazy, right?
And the world has definitely noticed. With over 1,700 jets for the U.S. Air Force, nearly 700 for the Marines and Navy, and 900 plus for international allies, the global verdict is crystal clear. 19 allied nations have bought in. Despite all its initial growing pains, the F-35 is undeniably the de facto fighter of the Western world, binding allied air forces together into a single highly integrated network.
Which leaves us with this final thought for today's explainer. As the F-35 transforms into this flying data center, commanding AI drone wingmen, automatically fusing sensor data, and taking over so much of the battle space awareness, the plane is doing vastly more of the actual fighting than ever before. If the machine is the brains, the network, and the quarterback, has the era of the traditional human fighter pilot fundamentally changed forever? It's a fascinating question, and one we'll definitely be watching as this tech continues to evolve.